Unlimited colors. Scary term for a screen printer, but we do have solutions. In screen printing, the way that we accomplish unlimited colors is counterintuitive in that we reduce the number of colors to match the number of print heads we have on our biggest press. It's usually 10, maybe 12 colors. So we take your full spectrum of color and we channel it into spot colors. So white would definitely be one color, black would be another color, and then we can fill in those remaining 8 to 10 colors with some parent colors. With those parent colors, we can reduce the screens from being fully open to being partially open, little dot patterns. And in those dot patterns, by layering them in certain sequences, we can create secondary colors by printing, yellow under red, we can get orange, or blue over yellow, we can get greens. So we play that game of what's the most important parent color to this design, what's the least important, and then we try to rebuild the design from there on press. The design tends to morph in that process. It's not as clean or as perfect as a true full color spectrum print as you can get from a digital process like TruePrint or direct-to-garment printing. The main reason why that works so much better is the dot patterns are infinitely smaller than what we can expose on a screen. The human eye can perceive a screen printed dot. It cannot perceive a digitally printed dot. So both are using dots. One's a big old dot, the other's a tiny dot. Because it's a tiny dot in the digital world, you're unable to tell what those parent colors are. There are still parent colors in the digital world. There's 4 of them: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Those colors tend to be transparent and blend better. They're designed to blend and give you a full spectrum. Whereas over in the screen printing world, going back over there, our spot colors are opaque. So the blending is really, if you get within a foot of the print, you can tell exactly what's going on. 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet from the print, you can't see the dots anymore. You can't tell what's going on. You're getting a pretty good result. So the main difference is dot size. The second difference is the print surface. What we can do with direct-to-garment, the print surface has to be pretty perfect because we're laying down a really flat, opaque white, and then laying CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black on top to get an acceptable result. Whereas with TruePrint, we're printing on top of, it's a heat transfer, so we're printing on top of a perfectly laid down piece of white under base, and then laying those colors on top. You got more ability to put it on different surfaces, like hoodies or rougher surfaces, that DTG just doesn't handle quite as well. We can achieve full color screen printing in digital. Digital, certainly you get a better result because you're not limited by these opaque inks and the number of spot channels that you can create. In the end, we size up the project and try to make a good recommendation on where you'll end up so that you can ultimately decide with your budget, with what we're trying to tell you on how it's going to look, lay that over where you want to end up. It's more tempting to approach an image that's more graphic, less photographic with screen printing, because because we're using spot colors, we can exert more control over those colors and matching colors better. So something like a comic book or something without a lot of depth, that's more of a flat graphic, almost like an old rock and roll shirt where the band is on the front and, the name looks metallic. That kind of thing definitely works better with screen printing. Or even if it's got like a throwback vibe, if you're going for like that 70s and 80s look, screen printing is probably a better course. But if it's, hey, I've got this photograph of whatever it is, for sure digital is going to work better. We might be forced one way or another by what we're printing on. If it's a hoodie, I think I would recommend the TruePrint over DTG. It just looks better. If the image has a lot of ink coverage, like if it's just a 12 by 12 square, I might recommend DTG over TruePrint. TruePrint tends to have a heavier hand and feel less like part of the garment than DTG does. You know, it's substrate dependent and it's art dependent. What are we trying to do? What two things are we putting together? And then that's going to help inform which way I would recommend to go. We live and kind of die by a system called Panto. That's a book, a chip book. Like you might go to the paint store and see all the chips on the wall and you pick out some and they can match that color paint. That's how we operate in screen printing. We put our finger on a color in the book and then we match it by blending pigments into a base, just like at the paint store. So we can just achieve really a perfect color match. In digital, there is no perfect color matching. The computer has 4 choices: cyan, magenta, yellow, black, 5, adding white. And you just can never hit a color perfectly. Nothing's ever red, truly red. Nothing's really even truly black in digital because it's transparent black. So it turns out like a really deep gray. So if you're really, really concerned about color, digital really isn't a way to go. That doesn't mean we don't color correct and try to amp up certain hues or saturation or contrast. Before we print, we test print, we try to see how to get the best result, but we can't guarantee any color match in the digital world. I mean, I think I would definitely advise them to get their printer involved early. Before showing a client a certain design, let's find the solution, or let's talk through the options, right, before you go to the client with your design. So getting an expert involved early, you can then start to design for and design around the process. Otherwise, we're stuck trying to figure out how to make what you did work instead of working together on the best solution.